Good morning, entrepreneurs. You are tuned in to the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. You are watching Entreprenews. My name is Chaz Vandemotter.
I'm Dustin Trout.
And we are here to bring you the top 6 trending small business headlines. We'll debate them for 3 minutes each. We'll keep you woke. We won't subject you to the paid agenda of most media companies. Everything we do here is real. Dustin, you want to tell them about where they can be tuning in?
Yeah, so you can tune in on the podcast, any popular channel that you like to listen to, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever it may be, YouTube, ncmbroadcast.com, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. That's the goal.
Sweet. Well, I'm excited to get into these stories today. We got some good ones.
Cool. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So with this first one, Lowe's launches Shark Tank-like effort to get products from diverse small businesses to the shelves. So they're partnering up with Daymond John from Shark Tank to really mentor entrepreneurs, listen to their pitches, and really narrow down the pool of standouts. It builds on the retailer's effort to support small business that have struggled during the coronavirus pandemic. Right when the pandemic happened, they had small business grants. I can't remember the exact number. It was right around 80 million. They had a good 800,000 people apply for it. So they're just continuing that effort to help out the small business community. The goal is to allow small businesses to pitch their product that might end up on the shelves or the website of Lowe's. So giving small business owners an opportunity. Lowe's will be able to expand their SKUs and offer more to their customers. And so, I mean, to me, I think it's a win-win. I will say, though, that I think there might be some ulterior motives here. But I mean, what are your thoughts? Is this a selfless or a selfish move?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's selfish or selfless. I mean, I look at it as something where this is really an investment. In today's climate, it seems like the word investment is synonymous with the word donation. But this is something that truly is just a shift in their R&D budget. And I think it's a good opportunity for them to get some innovation out of it. I mean, this is why Amazon has done so well, is because they're constantly iterating, they're constantly innovating, they're constantly challenging to push the envelope in the next 5-10 years. And, Lowe's is proving that they're investing in African Americans, they're investing in minority-owned business owners, but they're also investing in themselves. And this is only going to give them more upside. I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of contracts and non-competes if they do get these things on the shelves. And so, I don't think it's too much of a virtue signal here, but I would say that I think it's a strategic investment and something that, is well-timed.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to business, I mean, you got to make money, and it always comes down to how you can provide enough value for both parties. And I think that's what this does. I mean, Lowe's, they get proprietary products on their shelves, and then they're giving a platform to these business owners. I mean, I'm sure they're going to turn into some type of show.
I was going to say, make some content out of it. Yeah,
exactly. I know that the CEO mentioned that they're trying to reach more of the business professionals, especially as more people are working from home. So, I mean, I think this is a great way to do it. There's a lack of content. They're going to be creating content from it. I would assume you're giving small business owners a platform. They're getting more product. And I think, across the board, it's a win-win. It's cool to see Lowe's really step up so quickly after the pandemic came out.
I think there's some white space too. The same way Target and Walmart compete, I think that Lowe's and Home Depot can stand for different things. And, Home Depot is less of a humanized brand. I think it's more related around getting things done. And so, Lowe's has an opportunity to, create a different position for themselves. And I think it's definitely something that could grow them for sure.
Absolutely. So on to our next story. So a snapshot of the $1.2 trillion freelance economy. It's definitely growing since COVID-19 broke out, but more just a little behind the scenes on the numbers. More than 1/3 of the American workforce does freelance work, especially amid the COVID-19 pandemic. This is a 22% increase since 2019. It's really comprises of young, highly skilled professionals that really their skills are highly sought out by not only large business, but small business. Really what's driving this, freelancing increases the earning potential. Professionals are likely to consider freelance work in the future as people have experienced COVID and being able to work from home, they've seen the opportunity where, hey, I have an hour downtime here. I can take on more work, and they can really own their schedule and be able to fit all this type of stuff in. And so how we're progressing as a workforce just is in line with what makes it easy to actually do freelance work. Yeah. And more professionals are freelancing full time, where it used to be more of a part-time thing. But as the earning potentials grow and the opportunity grows, just more people are doing it. And so, I mean, my question is this good or bad for the economy? And I mean, I love it. The entrepreneurship is huge, but with more people taking on more work, are we just going to overload everyone? And what does that do to the mental state? Is work actually going to get done? So from a productivity standpoint, are we going to, remain productive?
Yeah, no, and the writing's on the wall here. We're decentralizing business. I think this is something where the writing is on the wall to, what the American workforce wants to be doing. And we're seeing this trend ever growing every year. It gets bigger and bigger. And so, I mean, my questions are more in line with, what does this do as it relates to healthcare? What does this do as it relates to some kind of universal base income? Because like, as you mentioned, the earning potential might be higher, but at the end of the day, a lot of these gigs are part-time, and it is like running a business. You have to find a way to make sure your hours are filled. And then if you don't have a business, you're paying that taxes. And so, I mean, there's so many kind of pieces that need to be optimized here for the gig economy, from how taxes is done as a 1099 to, what kind of healthcare they have access to. And if you're just getting paid an hourly flat rate for part-time freelance work, there's no incentive for the person that's providing, the pay to you. I mean, I see probably prices are going to raise in freelance because they're going to need to have some extra budget to put towards things like healthcare.
I mean, that's exactly what happens. I mean, it's you work for a company. I mean, whenever you net out your annual salary, I mean, $25-$30 an hour, you go to freelance, you can do the same work and charge $70-$80 an hour because it is freelance, it's part-time. And so thought is, if you can get enough clients and turn it into a full-time thing, you're going to triple your income, which then you don't need that $300, $400, $500 from your employer to pay for benefits and stuff. And so, but with that, I think there's going to be a huge influx in opportunity and businesses that arise to help bring costs down, whether it's group plans or whatever it may be. But I think there's gonna be a lot of innovation that happens and a lot of business created from this change in workforce.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So going on to our next story, bringing it back here to Arizona. So Banner Health eases visitor restrictions to allow 1 visitor per patient per day. So this really changed September 10th, and this impacts Phoenix, Tucson, and Casa Grande. Really, they weren't allowing anyone to come in, and now you just have to do a little bit more scheduling with the hospital and the patient. Really, I mean, they do have some rules. Whenever you come in, you have to be wearing fresh, laundered, or disposable masks. You can't bring in balloons, flowers, presents, and stuff like that. They do have places where you can congregate clothes, such as the church, the cafeteria. So, I mean, there are still restrictions, but they're allowing more people into the hospitals. All that while, I mean, bars in Scottsdale got shut down for allowing too many people. I mean, you don't have people that are, in hospital beds there. So, I mean, really, should more businesses be opening? I mean, what are your thoughts on this? How is a hospital opening up quicker than I think some business in Arizona is? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the hospital opening up, I mean, there's obviously a lot of strict restrictions compared to what a bar has. So, I mean, there's definitely some divide there. But I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think that, bigger than businesses being open, I think is the stigma around COVID and what's happened. I think that we could open 100%, and that's not necessarily going to mean all the customers are just going to come rushing back. I think that the media has done a real number on us with the death toll counts and things like that. I mean, it kind of subliminally conditions us into this, ideology that we're not safe. You're putting people at risk by being outside, and maybe you're not a high risk person, but somebody else could be. So you need to stay indoors and protect yourself and your family. It's like, I think that is such the narrative still, that even if you did open every business, I don't see everybody coming back. So I think that's a bigger issue here than the closures and limiting the capacity of some of the businesses.
Yeah, no, I mean, you bring up great points. I think, even as businesses are opening, it's not like you have a line out the door. I mean, there are some locations that are like that, but for the most part, even if you have 30% capacity, it's not like you're filling up that 30% anyway. But I think one thing that you mentioned that really stands out is just how the media has construed this. I mean, obviously people die and that's never good, but I mean, very rarely do you ever see just plastered everywhere on every news channel, just the rising death rate or number of deaths or infections. And it's just, I mean, it really goes to show that, I mean, marketing works. I mean, because that's all it's doing is sending that message. That's all marketing is communication. And that's all the media is communicating is how bad this is. And it's just ingraining into people's minds and stuff like that.
Global warming versus climate change. And one sounds a lot less obtrusive than the other. And so, I mean, you know, that really is what it comes down to is how can we condition people into believing a certain narrative? And it's disappointing, but you know, what are you going to do? That's why you come over here and listen to us at NCN. And I'll tell you, one of our favorite partners is State 48. Thank you guys for supporting our cause. And you know, we just love what they do. You know, I don't have to sit up here and be robotic. Like they have an amazing business and an amazing, you know, stance on bringing light to things that need to be talked about. And they put together some really great partnerships, especially with a lot of our 501c3s out here. And so, yeah, we just appreciate you guys. You guys do a great job.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing awesome clothing for all inspired by Arizona. But I mean, going more onto the community side is they just launched a whole initiative to help nonprofits and create more partnerships and really created a whole division for it. So, I mean, they just keep moving full steam ahead on not only creating awesome clothing, but just bringing the community together. So check them out, state48.com.
All right. Well, getting into our next story, Verizon to buy wireless service provider Tracfone in $6.25 billion deal. If you're wondering what's Tracfone, well, I'll tell you, it's the largest prepaid mobile brand in the US, approximately 21 million subscribers. 90,000 retail locations. This deal was $3.125 billion in cash, $3.125 billion in equity of Verizon, and another $650 million NFL style that's based on incentives. So I think that, you know, this is obviously a big move right off of the heels of the Sprint and T-Mobile merger. You know, it's clapback season for Verizon. So what do you think of this deal, Dustin? Is this a good deal? Is this going to pay off for him?
I mean, in terms of it being a good deal, it's tough to say. I mean, that's a big valuation, but I mean, in terms of the move and where their heads are at, I think I totally appreciate it, and I see where they're coming from. I mean, when I hear Tracfone, it's a demographic that might be in the lower household income. I mean, that's just my perspective and everything like that, which I don't think is really associated with Verizon. I mean, you hear Verizon, it's always the higher end plans. And, you know, this right here is a move that gets them into a huge audience that they aren't even in right now. So this is going to bring on a huge wave of new customers, new revenue, and just expand. And I mean, they made it happen a lot quicker without the legal side of the Sprint and T-Mobile. So, I mean, in terms of how much it costs to actually make this deal happen, I think it's probably a lot more cost effective than that deal. And I think they're going to, you know, reach a new audience segment where T-Mobile and Sprint, I think their audiences are pretty similar. So, I mean, there isn't a whole lot of traction in gaining new.
Well, T-Mobile is pretty big internationally, but
that's true.
No, definitely. Well, I mean, and this is chump change compared to like the big acquisitions that have happened in the telecom space. You look at Vodafone at over 180 billion. When they did their big M&A, and then you've got like Bell South and AT&T. They were at like 80 billion when Verizon was created. That was about a $65 billion deal. So even at 6 billion, especially being that those deals I referenced were all early 2000s, they've all grown substantially as businesses to this point. So while this may seem big on paper, this is just a very small sliver of their overall kind of value. But I think it gives them a lot of upside. And I think that, you know, the more that you can get, like you said, in front of customers that maybe aren't your traditional buyer, it's just going to make for a more robust and profitable business. So I'll be interested to see how they apply Verizon to this. They're talking about adding 5G to these Tracfones. Like that's a big deal. That's going to shift a lot of people. I mean, just bringing Verizon's resources into that lower income space and giving them, you know, a better deal than what they're currently getting. I think it's only going to bode well for them. And it's not going to necessarily add a whole lot of expense to their,
Yep.
Okay. Well, getting into our next story, Apple says its new Apple One service bundle isn't unfair to Spotify. So Apple just announced that they will be bundling a few of their services, Apple Music, Apple TV, Apple Arcade, iCloud, into 3 simple plans, a $15, $20, and $30 a month subscription. Spotify coming in, backing Epic Games with more Monopoly Chronicles of Apple. Dustin, Spotify is claiming that in their lawsuit that they're filing against Apple, that it's unfair competition to their service, being that now they can bundle these services and it becomes a no-brainer for consumers. Apple is saying, this isn't an antitrust violation. They each have some statements here, but what are your thoughts? Is this anti-competitive behavior? Or is this just good business?
It's good business. And this is, gonna probably irritate some people, but man, these participation trophies are creating this word unfair. And I absolutely hate that word. It's like the amount of time you're spending feeling so bad for yourself and calling Apple out. Innovate. Go and create a partnership with Epic so that you can bring in the gaming side. Go partner with Hulu. You can do partnerships where you don't have to merge the companies. You can merge your solutions together, but get innovative, compete with Apple. Apple's done a good job at building this, and instead of pointing the finger and saying this is unfair, go do better. I get so fired up about this because it's like, this is business. The better you can do, it's going to do better for the consumer, and that's ultimately why you guys are all in business, right? Yeah. To bring a good service or product to the consumer, and so again, just go do better.
I understand what you're saying here, but
I don't know if you do, Chaz.
Here's my thing. I don't trust Apple, being that they have the distribution. They're the ones that are natively putting Spotify on in general. They can control, just like Google controls their search algorithms, they control where you pop up, and they're going to natively drop Apple One all over the App Store. And, obviously, the other thing here too is like, you're telling me that, okay, go do better. Well, the only way that Spotify would be able to do better is to go get acquired by Amazon. The only way
I think there are other ways to do it.
Well, the only way Shopify could do better is go and get acquired by Facebook. So now it's like, okay, let's just have these big boys go get acquired and make the superpowers even more powerful, create more of a
look at what Epic did. They allowed purchases and everything to happen on their own server and everything like that, alleviating them from the Apple Store.
They're in the middle of a lawsuit that they're probably going to lose.
Well, at least they're fighting it, but that's the example is don't, if your business model relies on or another company for your success, you're in jeopardy of your future being dictated based on their decisions. That's never a good position to be in. So if you have to rely on Apple for your success, that's not good. That you should have been spending the last 5, 6, 7 years.
I understand, but that's the whole principle of antitrust, right? That the lion's share of consumers are on their products. So there's no toppling that at this point, unless you were to bust them up. And by letting them bundle these services together and compete in these individual markets with more, it's.
Yeah, I just get so irritated by the word unfair.
I don't think it's unfair. Unfair is not the right word. I'll give you that. Unfair is not the right word. Well, I digress. They're sitting on piles of cash. Yeah. So, they're pretty much going to be able to do whatever they want. Okay, getting into our next story. Governor Ducey claims that Arizona's economy is booming on the heels of unemployment losing its federal relief. If you aren't familiar, Arizona compensates unemployment $240 per week. There was an additional $300 a week of stimulus that the government was pumping in until the last couple of days. And so, Dustin, do you agree with Doug Ducey's categorization that Arizona is booming when 430,000 people are still unemployed in Arizona?
Yeah, I think the word booming might be misleading, but at the end of the day, the word booming doesn't have parameters tied to it as in, hey, unemployment is getting better or we're just in a better position. I think the word booming is incorrect, but in terms of how Arizona's positioned against all other states, we got tons of people moving here. We have tons of construction going on, but in terms of relativity to all other states, I would say maybe we're booming, but I think booming is an overall positive connotation, and I don't necessarily think that we're booming.
We're building a beach.
I mean, yeah, we are building a beach. That's huge. But I mean, I don't think we're out of the woods in terms of you know, people are still unemployed. I just read somewhere where there's a ton of people that are going to get evicted after the moratorium gets removed, and I can't remember the number, but it was pretty. I was going to add it for today, but yeah, I mean, there's a ton of negativity that's still happening, and so I wouldn't necessarily say that we're booming, but I mean, compared to other states, I think we're doing better than others.
Yeah, recovering maybe, but yeah, I mean, and I go back to, you know, how many businesses that are still closed or will never be reopened. You know, you see things like this happening in every state, but yeah, I mean, it's tough because, you know, there's so much ambiguity as it relates to the stimulus, the triple P stuff, keeping business. How much do we pay to keep a business alive if they're not going to be viable? And you know, it's just a tough situation, but I think that, you know, us as entrepreneurs have to band together, Dustin. So I think that that's really how we're going to get out of the woods, is on the backs of innovation and business owners. And like you said, there's hundreds of people moving here a day. So, you know, this may be just the time that we need to kind of turn things around here in Arizona and become more of a superpower. I don't think people realize it's the 5th biggest city in the US.
No, I don't think anyone realize. Well, I mean, some people realize that obviously, but I think, yeah, it definitely goes unnoticed. I mean, Phoenix, when you always think of big cities, it's the New York, Chicago, it's all the condensed big. And I think that's why it's just, we don't have a huge skyline and all that. It's more open spaces, but no, I love that you brought up let's band together and innovate and not sit here and go, man, the pandemic was unfair. I mean, it's again, I'm just still stuck on that. It's the situation that we could sit here and say it's unfair, but no, we're working harder than ever and trying to figure out how to innovate and turn this unfair situation and figure out how to bring some positivity from it. I think we just need more of that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you start using those words like booming and you just kind of, kind of pandering a little bit. No, I think that all the stories today were interesting. I mean, looking back, I did like seeing that the hospitals are being reopened. I think that that's something that is important. And, you know, that there's months there where you couldn't go in and visit your loved one that had COVID, and it's just scary. So I think that that shows that we're moving in the right direction, and glad that people are getting to see their loved ones if they're in the hospital.
Yeah. I mean, I'm having a little kid and haven't even gone to one of the appointments because of COVID. So yeah, it's cool to see that opening up. Hopefully I'll be able to be there. But no, my favorite one was just the impact of freelance work. I think it's awesome to see. I think people are realizing that it isn't as hard to go out on your own and really be an entrepreneur and do it yourself. You don't have to rely on W-2 and being someone's employee. I think it's cool. So hope to see that trend continue to grow, and just cool to see. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for being with us again. Check us out. We got a podcast, Entreprenews. If you can't tune in on Facebook or YouTube, you can find us there, driving to work, staying woke, making sure that you're informed on the newest trends and stories breaking in the business community. And if you want to get your word out there, come talk to us. Send us a message. You can find us all over the internet. Non-Corporate Network, ncnbroadcast.com. But again, you've been watching the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. This was Entreprenews. Dustin, anything else to tell the people?
No, I think you covered it all. I took the belt. You covered it all. We'll see you guys Friday.
Sneaking that in right before we get out of here. I see. Yeah. No one gave it to you, if you noticed, but yeah. All right.
Our live audience was cheering, so.
Yeah, okay. No, we'll see you guys Friday.
See you Friday.